I recently changed companies, and strange things are happening in the building. For starters, the building was formerly a hospital. My company bought it and turned it into an office 5 years ago. I've seen some figures in my life, but here it happens all day long. Do you know when you feel that someone passes by your side, but it was nobody? It happens a lot. I also hear a lot of footsteps when there's no one in the room, and I feel like there's someone behind me. The people who take care of cleaning the building and the security guards refuse to be alone. They always walk together because they are afraid of things that happen here. Once I thought there was someone at the door waiting to talk to me, and when I looked, it was nobody. I've been here for 2 months. At first I didn't notice anything, but it seems that the more time passes, the more things happen. Anyway, I'm not afraid. I think it's just souls who are trapped here for some reason. But just in case, is there any way I can protect myself? Is there any evil among them? Thanks. My dog passed away in February. I have the collars of my 2 other dogs I've had, but I had her cremated and forgot to ask for the collar. On top of that, my sister got rid of all her stuff, beds, toys, etc. I was sad. I didn't have anything of hers. A few days later, it snowed. Me and my sister were out shoveling. I see something on the sidewalk. I go over, and it's her favorite toy. It was a ball, but a cloth one. It wasn't in the path where we walk to the garbage can or anywhere we would have walked either. It was out on the front walk. I've no idea how it could have gotten out there. As I said, it was a cloth ball, not a hard one, so it couldn't have rolled all the way out there either, especially with the snow. I think she knew I felt bad. I didn't have anything of hers, and left me her favorite toy. About 10 years ago, I was working as a phlebotomist, someone who draws blood at the hospital in my town. That particular night, I was assigned to the ER, and as in this case at times, I had to draw an inmate from the local jail. He was nice and chatty and a little bit out there. For some reason, the topic of dreams came up, and I told him that the night prior I had dreamt that all my teeth fell out. He tells me that when you dream your teeth fall out, it means that money will be coming your way. I tell him that I hope so, and kind of laughed it off. 2 weeks later, I receive a check in the mail for $300. The kicker is that it came from my dentist. Apparently, I had been overcharged at one point for a procedure in his office. I immediately remembered my dream and an encounter with the inmate in the ER. I have since had many more dreams of teeth falling out. Why? But nothing else like what occurred above ever happened again. This is something that happened to me almost a year ago. I was 17 at the time and totally not prepared for the terrifying encounter I'd soon be part of. So a little backstory. A few years ago, me and my family moved from our neighborhood home to a farmhouse in the middle of the hayfields and woods to take care of my now past great-grandfather who lived there. Since I was such an imaginative kid, and I love being outside, I would spend all day out in the fields and woods every single day, and I've still done it for all the years I've lived there. To give an idea of the layout of this farmland, our house is in the front hayfield. Then there are 2 more behind it with a creek running through, and finally a couple miles of woods behind all of that. Keep in mind that these fields are huge, like it's just hundreds of acres. Okay, all the boring crap is done. Time for scary, spooky hoo-ha. Remember, this story is entirely true. And no one believes me except for one person. But I'll get to that later. It was evening, and I was out to the back field to watch sunset as usual. The view was best there, and the sunset always looked cool over the trees. I took the 15-ish minute walk on the gravel road that connects all of our land, through the gates, over the creek, past the pond, and finally into the backfield. I watched it set over the trees until I couldn't get a view of it anymore. It was starting to get dark, so I decided to go back home, until I saw something. At the other side of the field, right across from me, I saw what looked like a buck staring right at me. And while it's not abnormal to see a deer out there, it is odd that it didn't get spooked by me being out there. Since my mom hunts in those woods, I got my phone out to take a picture of it to show her, but the sun had basically set, so all you can see in the picture is a silhouette. That's when it started getting weird. I looked up from the picture and saw the silhouette change. Got taller, like deer stood up on its back legs. And I just stood there motionless for way too long, feeling uneasy but trying not to get scared. I casually put my phone back in my pocket and started walking home. It was getting quite dark after all, and it's just a wild deer. Nothing to be scared of, right? So I turned my back to the deer and began walking. But something felt wrong. It's like I could feel someone staring at me, or something. I quickly look over my shoulder, but see nothing. It was very dark, so all I would be able to see is a shadow. Anyway, I saw nothing, until I saw something. The deer. But it was wrong. So wrong. Just typing this out is making me uneasy. It was still standing upright, just like it was before I started walking home, but it was running straight towards me. That's when I knew something was wrong. This isn't normal, and I better start running. I sprinted through the first gate to get onto the gravel road, screaming for someone to help me, my bare feet getting torn up by the sharp rocks I'm running over. Fumbling with my phone as I ran, I called my dad, who was thankfully home. Hello? Someone is chasing me. I don't hesitate to tell him, obviously, especially since the deer is gaining about half the distance away it was when I first saw it running. I can hear my dad on the other end of the phone slamming the front door open and running outside, but I can't hear to see the thing behind me. It's black dark out now, and all I see is a shadow getting 50, 40, 30 feet away. I tear through the creek bed. As I run through it, I finally see my house lights in the distance. I scream as loud as I've screamed in my entire life, the breath scratching my lungs as I do so. I'm running uphill now, not stopping once this entire time, and I finally see my dad in front of me running even faster than I am. He jumps the last gate separating me from my house and starts yelling, "Get away! Get away! Get!" When he finally reaches me, instead of stopping at me, he keeps running past me and keeps yelling. I fall to the ground, barely able to catch a breath, tears streaming down my face. After maybe 20 seconds, my dad kneels next to me. "Did you see it?" I forced out of my trembling lungs. "I don't see anything." Apparently whatever chased me was afraid enough of my dad, because once he was in view, it ran away. He is a pastor, so if this was a demonic spirit, it makes complete sense that it left once my dad got to me. Now it's been a year since that happened. I'm made fun of by most people because everyone thinks it's just a sickly deer with rabies or something, even my parents. But my great uncle, who is literally an expert on wildlife, said there's no way. He says it was most likely a bear. but a bear hasn't been seen here in 30 plus years. I don't think bears have antlers. Edit. I lost the photo I took, but I have videos. I'll share the link soon once I put the two videos together. Before people think I'm mad, I walk my dog after dark. For a few reasons. It's empty, so I can let my dog roam freely. Plus, I love the solitude and stillness. Anyway, I'm walking through this park. It's pitch black, but your eyes adjust after a few minutes. My dog was about 10 meters away from me when I saw him acting cautious. I looked closely and I saw a blacker than everything around mass, the size of roughly 2 footballs, yet nothing defined, just a mass. About 2 meters away from my dog. At first I thought it was a cat, fox, or a dog, but as I moved closer I realized it wasn't anything I'd ever seen before. My dog came back to me, and I'm about 7 or 8 meters away. I stopped, and I called it over, but it didn't move towards me, but followed me walking around it, moving, floating sideways. I was trying to work out what the F it was, but was paranoid enough to not go directly towards it, but spent a few minutes there in confusion. I didn't know where to post this. Please excuse if it doesn't apply, but if anybody has ever seen something like this, please divulge. Alright, so I just joined this thread and figured I'd share one of my experiences. I was actually just discussing this yesterday because my dad had something similar happen to him just the other day at the same house this happened to me. Anyways, this was about 3 years ago. I had just gotten really into Christianity at the time. That was new for me. We live in the country, by the way. Houses are scattered around but not close together. Not close enough to be able to see what anyone else is doing. And the only person that knows my name around the place is a total normal country bumpkin that lives up the street a ways. Not the type to do anything too out of the ordinary, is my point. So at around 10 p.m., it's completely dark outside. We have a small wooded area around my home, but it's about 150 feet away. I decided to take a minute to go outside under the stars and pray for a bit. I go and sit down on the side of the house, right on the edge of the woods. No lights on, so no one could have seen me come out. And plus, who would be just sitting in the woods at night watching my house? I mean, that's a scary dude if it was a human. Probably has bodies under his house and shit. But anyway, so I'm praying, and in the middle of me talking, by the way, I was almost whispering. No human could have heard me, and from the woods something screams my fucking name at the top of their lungs, like out in the middle of the woods, deep in it, and it was 100% audible voice. I didn't stop praying, but I definitely went right back in the house. I didn't feel it was wise to go and find the source. Now my dad's saying he heard an audible trumpet sound in the house the other day, and he has no mental illness or such things, so I believe him. Same location too. I've also seen shadow people on multiple occasions on this property. I think there's something weird going on here. Share your thoughts. Also, I asked the country friend up the street if it was him, and he looked at me like I was a schizophrenic or something. So, I doubt it was him.